Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the FamVestor podcast. I am really excited because we just went live on iTunes. So it is May 11th, 2019, and we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, all the other great podcasting stations, and we already have some ratings and reviews. So I'm very excited. We're about to get to the travel hacking show in a minute, but I wanted to just say thank you to everyone who has already gone into iTunes and left us a review. It's really easy. Just either head over to your iTunes app or iTunes on your computer, search for FamVestor. We are now searchable. And once there, just go click on the FamVestor podcast and go to ratings and reviews and leave us a review, a 5-star review, please. Just 5 stars. We're definitely worth 5 stars, wouldn't you say? Anyway, we have some great reviews already. One from David Hunter. We have one from Sinmi. And just excited to get more of these reviews and get, as we get more reviews, we get more promotions. If we get enough reviews, we will go on to the new and noteworthy section of iTunes. And then we'll get into the ears of a lot of listeners, which is very powerful. And it'll spread like wildfire. So that's what we're hoping for here at FamVestor headquarters. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to travel hacking. Hope you guys enjoy.
You're listening to the FamVestor podcast. If you're looking to raise your family with intention, gain financial independence, and live a life of true freedom, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore together how to create thriving families, because strong families are the cornerstone for a world at peace.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FamVestor podcast. I'm your host, Sonny Burns.
And I'm your co-host, Sunmarie Burns.
Thanks for joining us again. And today we're going to be talking about an exciting topic that we love and everyone else seems to love too, and that is travel hacking or flying for free utilizing credit card miles. We'll go into other aspects of travel hacking like lodging hacks and food hacks and different things we use while traveling to kind of lower the costs and make it sustainable for us to travel a lot because we like to travel a lot.
We love to travel, and travel hacking is a pretty fun and exciting way to do it. And you save a ton of money. Right.
We only started travel hacking back in 2014, and already, we've gained 437,500 miles since that time. We've opened up 22 credit cards to accrue all those miles. We never paid a late fee, always pay at the end of the month on full. And we calculated all the trips we've taken. We've gone to Japan, we've gone to Europe, we've gone to Colorado, Alaska, California, and we've saved ourselves $10,000 in flights just using this strategy of travel hacking. Yeah, so we want to share, our journey through travel hacking and see if it's a viable option for you. It does take a lot of planning and pre-thought. I mean, you don't need the planning, but if you use the planning and discipline ahead of time, you can really make your miles and points best bang for your buck.
Right. And I think discipline is very important if you're going to use this strategy for your traveling. You don't want to get into any messy debt through credit cards and so forth. So you got to be very responsible with your money and your payments. If you don't think you can do that, this is probably not the best mode of traveling for you. You might regret it down the line. But if you are able to be very disciplined with paying off your cards every single month and not carrying a balance which accrues interest, then this technique might come in handy.
Right. That point is so important. And I blog about travel hacking on my blog, famvestor.com/travel hacking. You can kind of follow along. That's what we're using as our outline today. But basically, there is no point, absolutely no point in using this credit card travel hacking if you're going to have late fees. Because, late fees start at like 15%. And, if you use travel hacking credit cards, airline credit cards, they're a little better than 2% cash back, but not much better. So imagine, you're doing all this just to get 2% cash back, and then you have a late fee, and you're paying 15% in late fees.
Doesn't make sense.
There's absolutely no point. So if you're not disciplined enough financially to pay on time every single month at the end of the month to pay in full, then definitely stay away from this strategy. You don't deserve it, honestly speaking. So, moving forward from there, we kind of want to just give a general outline of what travel hacking is, especially via credit card signups. So basically, the basic premise is and the reason we've opened up 22 credit cards in the last 3 or 4 years is we open up the credit cards because a lot of these airline companies have, we've opened up Citibank credit cards through American Airlines. Chase has United Explorer cards through United Airlines. American Express had some programs. And what they do is they have these high sign-up bonuses to entice people to buy in on these cards. And generally what we're looking for is 50,000 miles or more of a sign-up bonus. And
50,000 miles is, it'll get you a domestic flight. And sometimes if you're...
you can usually find 25,000 round-trip domestic flights.
And if you're savvy, you may even find international flights within that.
Like we booked a round trip to Japan for 65,000 miles each. Mm-hmm. That was some time ago. So currently I think it's 75,000 miles you need to do that round trip to Japan. 40,000 miles can get you round trip to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking for those high sign-up bonuses, so 50,000 miles or more. And we're always looking to get that first year of that. So a lot of these credit cards, these airline credit cards or high reward credit cards have an annual fee associated with them. So what we always look for is the fee to be waived for the first year or the first 12 months. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've ever signed up for a card that charged a fee immediately. Because what we'll do is we'll use the sign-up bonus, and then before the 12 months is up, we'll cancel the card, so we're never charged that annual fee. So we save that money, we utilize that sign-up bonus.
So you're not paying anything to sign up for the card, and then within the first 3 months, when you've met certain criteria, you've earned this great bonus, and you didn't have to pay a huge fee in order to acquire it. And then, like Sunny said, a year later, you cancel the card, and then you don't have to pay the sign-up or the annual fee.
Right. And I mean, some people choose to keep the card. They like just one card, and they accrue, a lot of these credit cards, you spend $1, they'll give you 1 mile. Something like that. Or
sometimes you spend $1, they'll give you 2 miles.
Those are better cards.
Some people, they like a certain card. They like the customer service and the treatment that they receive, so they stick with the card through their loyalty to it, which I'm all for that too. But
to really optimize this strategy, I think it's best to cancel the card at the end of the year, because usually you can re-sign up again 2 years after you cancel. You can sign up again for another 50,000 miles on that same exact card.
Again, as like a new customer sign up.
Sometimes when you call and you say, hey, I want to cancel my card, they'll be like, oh, why don't you just downgrade your account? Well, there's no fees on the downgraded card, but we never like to do that because then we can't sign up for that bonus again, because we have that downgraded card, which is too similar, and they won't let you get the bonus. Right. So we like to just cancel it. We see that 5-point dip in our credit score. We're both kind of in the 790s right now. So, you see a 5-point dip, and then next month is right back where it is. Yeah, it hasn't really impacted us. And as we've shared, we've opened up 22 cards. I think we've canceled 18, so we don't have a bunch over a 4-year time span. Right. But yeah, it's still a lot of cards, and it didn't impact our credit negatively enough for us to really make note of it. It was a few points here and there, and as Sunny said, it does go back up after some time. So what are some of these other requirements to get the sign-up bonuses? A lot of credit card companies will ask or will say that you have to spend $1,000 to $3,000 in 3 months upon signing up for the card. Mm-hmm. If you spend that $1,000 or up to $3,000, they will give you that 50,000 mile bonus. Right. So when earlier in our marriage, when we didn't have that many expenses, it was hard for us to spend. So we time those card openings around we have to pay an insurance premium or some big ticket item like that. Now we don't seem to have that issue, which is another problem in itself. But we have other things. We have an Amazon business where we can buy piles and piles of pacifiers that we just ship to Amazon to sell. So we have no problem paying $3,000 instantly. We own a home, so we're paying for all the home repairs and all sorts of things that come up in home ownership. So very easy now. But anyway, you can time it around that. You can also, what we like to do is do it one at a time. So I'll sign up first, get the card, and then after 3 months and I'll get a secondary card for my wife to use. So she spends that card, I spend the card, we hit the limit. Then she signs up under her name. She gets a secondary card for me to use. And so I get the sign-up bonus and she gets the sign-up bonus. Right. And that way we can maximize it. We can both get tickets in the future on the same airline, and it really works out
So we just stagger it 3 months apart. He does his card first. We fulfill the requirements. Then as soon as we've accomplished that, I sign up. I fulfill the requirements. And usually the promotion lasts long enough. Of course, you're taking some bit of a risk that the promotional offer the credit card company is offering may expire before your partner gets to sign up for theirs. It's something that's always a variable, but so far it's worked pretty well for us.
Right. And so one thing I wanted to
add a note on that. Fun fact or a tip. If you are nearing the end of your 3 months and you haven't quite earned that $3,000 sign-up requirement, you can also buy gift cards, ShopRite gift cards, Amazon gift cards, to fulfill your remaining few $100s that you may have on the card. And then if you buy something to like a supermarket where you know you're going to shop every week anyway,
just ahead of time.
So you turn your cash into gift cards, but it's still spendable cash. It's not like you're spending money for the sake of spending money on things you don't need because you need to meet this this requirement. So that's just a helpful hint that I like giving out, because you don't want to be buying things just to buy them. So.
Yeah. And let's say you sign up for one of these cards and you don't have any trips planned, and 12-month hits and you're like, oh, if I cancel this card, do the points go away? Generally, no. Most airlines, Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, United Airlines, they give you 18 months where from last activity of the card till the points expire. And activity can be anything. Even after canceling the card, you can just hop on United Airlines and be like, oh, let me use a reward point to buy myself a magazine subscription and spend 5,000 points to get an Amazon's magazine subscription. And that just resets that 18-month calendar. Mm-hmm. So I have in my iPhone calendar just, 18 months from this date, remind me to re-up the expiration date by performing some sort of activity. Activity can be booking a trip. Activity can be really anything, purchasing a small pencil off their rewards website.
An interesting thing to note is the miles you're accruing through your credit card aren't actually recorded or held by the credit card company. They're held by the associate airline. So regardless of whether you have that credit card still or not, your miles are unaffected because they're being held by the airline, not the credit card company.
Right. So we want to go through some case studies of cards we've opened or trips we've planned to. Currently, so this is an example of a credit card offer. So it's a Citi Advantage card that's currently going on for those viewers who are looking on screen. For those listening, it's going on right now. The recording date is May 1st, 2019. And basically, it's offering 60,000 American Airlines Advantage bonus miles after spending $3,000 within the first 3 months. The annual fee of $95 is waived for the first 12 months, and that's about it. So you got to spend $3,000. After $3,000 in the first 3 months, you'll get 60,000 bonus miles. And you can do a lot with those 60,000 bonus miles.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And that annual fee is waived. So this is something we would be signing up for, this kind of offer. It's a good offer. So what's an example? I alluded to that Japan trip. We spent 65,000 miles each to book this trip, but a ticket to Japan is
$1,300,
easily $1,300 per person.
So it's pricey,
right? So, and if you're getting 60,000 mile bonus, this credit card bonus is essentially, if you do it right, almost equivalent to a $1,300 ticket. So that's huge, and that's how even just after 22 credit cards is a lot. But we saved $10,000 because you can see how quickly those cost savings accumulate, and it just makes us want to travel more, and it makes it easier for us to travel without knowing that we're taking advantage of a system that helps us to travel without spending too much of our hard-earned savings or income towards traveling.
It really does make traveling internationally a whole lot more feasible for, just an ordinary person. I used to always think, oh, wouldn't it be nice to travel abroad, but you've got to have gobs of money to do that. Well, not necessarily if you're savvy about it and you try creative routes like this. And it's really freed us up to be able to experience the world that we probably normally wouldn't have had the opportunity to do.
Right. So with most airlines, they don't, you can't just book last minute. You can book last minute, but what usually ends up happening is you'll pay double the miles that you have to.
Yeah.
So if you can plan
won't
ahead
get
of
the
time.
good saver rates.
Right. So we wanted to go to Japan in August, which is peak season, and it's very hard to get a ticket. So we booked all the way 6 months in advance these tickets to get them at 65,000 miles. If we booked any later, like even if we waited like 4 months ahead of time, we probably would have had to pay double, like 130,000 miles to go to Japan.
For each flight that is flown by these airlines, they only have a select few super saver seats
they call them
available.
United at least calls them saver seats,
Economy
but most
saver
airlines
seats.
do that,
Right.
where they'll have a select number of seats, and those are the saver seats. And once
And they
those
go
saver
quick.
seats go, then all the
just
other
the regular-
seats are double the miles.
Yeah.
And you can book those last minute. Tomorrow I can book a flight to Japan, but I'm going to pay double what the saver seat was.
Mm-hmm.
So for that convenience, for that last minute flight, you're going to be paying double. So we really recommend
To make your
pre-plan.
miles stretch a little further, pre-plan as far ahead as possible.
Yeah, especially for those peak travel times and international flights.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going domestic, we went to Colorado, you booked a month ahead of time. And
There's a lot more flights too, I think.
Right.
Domestic, daily.
Right,
So
there's a
you have
lot more saver
options.
seats.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do usually have to pay some kind of fee. So for that flight to Japan, we each had to pay $39.20 each in taxes and fees. But other than that, it was 65,000 miles and $40. Other than that, it was free to go
We
all the way
got
to Japan and back.
for $40.
Right, which
That's
is
it.
amazing.
Yeah.
So another thing you want to consider, if you are booking last minute, a lot of times there's, economy saver flights and then there's first class saver flights. So our most recent trip was a trip to Alaska, and we had to kind of book it last minute because it was a wedding, and for some reason we couldn't get it done. So we could have paid for the economy regular miles price because there was no saver economy flights, but instead at the same cost of the economy regular rate, we could get a saver first class rate. So we were able to go to Alaska in first class. And yes, we did pay double the amount of miles we would have on a saver economy, but it's the same amount for a regular economy. Perhaps that was confusing, but
Yeah. So we got to fly first class, which was a first for us. Never flew first class. We had our two little kids with us, a infant and a toddler, and I don't think I'll be flying first class again with a toddler and an infant. Maybe when they're grown.
Right. This was a crazy trip. It cost us 82,000 miles each, but here's why. It was like 6 flights.
Yeah.
Which is insane, especially with 2 little kids in tow. But
And that's the thing. When you're working with miles and you're trying to optimize saver options, you aren't going to probably have.
Sometimes you'll get direct flights, but a lot of times they'll incorporate
layovers and maybe a couple of them, especially if it's a long flight. So you got to put up with a little bit of inconvenience, but hey, for the price reduction you're getting, nearly free, it's worth it.
Anyway, this trip was crazy, not because of layovers, but because, we had a wedding in California, and we were like, hey, we've always wanted to go to Alaska. We have friends in Anchorage, Alaska, where they're fishing, and they're a fisherman couple, and we want to visit them. And we're in California anyway. It's close to Alaska.
It's closer.
Let's lump them together and do this crazy trip with multi-city itinerary, all on miles. So we spent 80,000 miles and $22 to go from Newark. We had a layover in Seattle to San Francisco. San Francisco is where we had the wedding. Right. And then
we had to
4 days later on the same itinerary, we went from San Jose.
We drove to San Jose because that was where the flights left.
That's where the flight left. So there was an airport change. And then we went to Alaska. And this is all on the same itinerary, all for 80,000 miles. We went, from San Jose to Juneau, Alaska, and from Juneau to Anchorage. And then we used more miles to go from Anchorage to the small island of Kodiak through Alaska Airlines. So I booked that. I got an Alaska Airlines credit card specifically for this trip.
For the Alaskan flights, because they do give you better...
Well, they were the only ones servicing to Kodiak, Alaska, which is a tiny island with it was an 18-seater plane.
The plane to Kodiak was like taking a bus.
But fresh baked cookies
they
from
gave
the
us
local
homemade cookies.
local baker there.
I don't know if the baker or
that was
the
interesting
pilot baked them. I'm not sure, but
it looked like you were on a bus.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was bumpy like a bus too.
Right. Anyway, that was a crazy flight, but it was an experience. It was definitely an experience.
Yeah.
What else do we want to share, Sunmarie?
Let's see.
So one cool trip we did was we went to Europe. And one thing we learned on that Europe trip is a good thing to do if you're traveling as a couple is to book each leg individually. So it doesn't for when you're using miles, when you're paying cash for a trip, usually you save so much money by booking round trip. You know, if you book a one-way leg and another one-way leg, usually you're paying like 30% more rather than a round trip flight. When it comes to miles, it doesn't matter. You book one leg, it's the same as you book two one legs. It's the same as booking round trip. So what I advise if you're booking as a couple and she has miles and you have miles, you book one leg for two of you, and then she books one leg for the return trip. So I book for the departure for both of us. She books for the return for the both of us. And the reason I say to do that is because then you are on the same confirmation code. It's a lot easier to find award flights. Say you're looking for 2 seats. Previous to that, I didn't know that, so I booked round trip tickets for
on your card
for the Japan flight, and I was
had
like,
to do it on mine, and we had like,
and I was concerned maybe once I book, that's the last saver flight available.
What if I can't get a flight?
And then
on
what
that
if
same
she
flight?
can't? Yeah, so I booked, and I'm like, you gotta book right now, book. So to save that hassle and that concern, just book each leg individually.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. What we learned in the Alaska trip.
So the first flight there, you book for both of you on one award number, and then on the return flight, you book for both of you on another award.
Right, and to go, and it was so cheap. I don't know why it was so cheap, but to go from New York JFK Airport to London, it was only 20,000 miles each. So I booked a $40,000 leg, and it only cost $11.20 too. Wow. And that was using American Airlines. So if you sign up for that $60K card, you can easily do that.
You can go to London.
And back. And have 20,000 miles to spare. So that was one thing. And so so this was a crazy trip because we went to London. We went from London to France to Switzerland, to Germany,
to Austria.
And then from Austria, we flew back. So she booked that leg back from Austria back to
it was our
Newark, New Jersey, or JFK. And that was also 20,000 miles each.
Extravaganza with a 6-month-old.
We did that with our 6-month-old.
And no carry-on,
carry-on.
checked
bags.
We had carry-on.
Only carry-on. So we had them on a little strap-on carrier, baby carrier, no stroller.
And then we had hikers' backpacks on our backs,
which was mostly filled with diapers.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can go into that trip a little more in detail. I have a post on that, backpacking with a 6-month-old for 3 weeks.
We'll do another post on that. Tips on traveling with small kids and traveling lightly, so that you're not lugging around a whole house with you.
Right. So I would say that's like kind of the majority of our travels. You want to go into some lodging hacks? A lot of times when we travel, like we went to Japan, we went for 2.5 weeks, and we only paid for one night's lodging. And that was on top of Mount Fuji because we were hiking up. We wanted to hike to the top, and they asked that you stay in one of their lodges. And so we paid for that night's accommodation. Everything else, we stayed with family, we stayed with friends, and we try to do that as much as possible. Also, Europe, 3 weeks in Europe, we only paid for one night in London. Everything else was friends and family along the way. We kind of leveraged some of our international church community. We're from the Unification Church, and we have there's a Facebook group with all these members who are a little more isolated and. Not isolated, but it's a little more. It's a community.
Anyway, we utilized our connections. International friends. Personally, we have a lot of friends who've moved abroad, so we could reach out to them. And I know that not everyone has that kind of a network, but there are options for affordable accommodations, hostels, youth hostels. are a great option. I know a lot of people use, especially
We
if you're
always
single.
are using Airbnbs too, VRBO.
Monasteries do provide stays as well. You can look into traveling Europe via monasteries. There's lots of creative ways to find accommodations that fit in your price point.
One thing I did want to mention that I did discover recently was a lot of times, you go to these foreign countries, they use different currency, they don't use the American dollar. And a great hack for that is to get a Charles Schwab bank account. It's free to open. And what's great about them is their debit card, they reimburse any ATM fee nationwide, internationally, anywhere. So you go to any ATM around the world, even within the United States, they'll reimburse any fee. So the ATM says, there's a $4 fee if you use your debit card. Charles Schwab will reimburse that card. And what's great about this is you go to, like we were in Costa Rica last year, and our friend had this Charles Schwab card. I shortly got it after because it was so cool. And we Venmo'd him money, and he's the one who went to the ATM to withdraw in Costa Rican currency, Colero. And, he can just go to the ATM there and get the currency there. So you don't have to travel with a whole bunch of cash. You just go to the ATMs within country. You're paying at the exchange rate at the ATMs, and there's no fee to you. So I really feel like that's the best way to do it.
I did not know about that.
Yep.
Now I know something new.
And you can just sign up for the Charles Schwab bank account online. You don't even have to go into their in-house brick and mortar stores. There's no minimum balance or service fees. So there's no reason not to do it. And I'll just, I think I have $200 sitting there, but if we go on travel, I'll just transfer bank to bank some money there. So anyway, I
just wanted to bring one more point. Friends of friends are a great way to find contacts to stay abroad too. Perhaps you don't have friends in the countries you're visiting. Talk it up with the people you do know, because chances are someone knows somebody who lives there, and with their good reference, they might be able to reach out and ask if you can stay with their friends. So even if you think, I just don't know anybody over there, talk it over with everyone you know. Talk it up.
So I did want to go into some of the credit cards we have open. There is the United Explorer card. We signed up for a 55,000 mile bonus, $3,000.
That was my favorite card.
Me too.
It was our first card, which may also be why.
But they have just so much availability to use for their saver flights. I think a lot more than American Airlines, a lot more than Delta.
They do give you also passes into their
club, their airport
club, where you can go and get
breakfast,
snacks and breakfast, and it's a comfortable
free
place
drinks.
to sit between flights. So that was a perk that I don't think we got from any of the other airlines that we participated in. I enjoyed that, and I also felt that the United flights were very simple and clear, and
it was easy to book them. Yeah. So United has been my favorite as well. And like most of these credit cards, they'll give you free checked bags on the airline, a lot of no foreign transaction fees.
Also, the credit card customer service team on that card was really nice to work with, too, I'll say.
Right. So Alaska Airlines credit card. We had the Amex Gold Premier card. We had Delta card. And then we've had some cards where they weren't associated strictly to a specific airline, but they'll give you miles and they'll just reimburse any travel expenses that show up on your credit card statement. So one happened to be the Barclay Arrival card. And basically, it's a lot more flexible. You can just book a flight on kayak.com or whatever your favorite booking site is and just reimburse that expense using the miles and getting that reimbursed. Just basically whatever travel expense, you reimburse it. So that's a great card to use in combination for any, maybe you book a train ride or a taxi cab, you can have all those expenses reimbursed. Or just be flexible and book any airline you want at any price you want without having to use miles. So there's a lot of those cards around as well. So one last tip I think I want to lead you with, unless you have any other thoughts, is to have at least one no-fee card at the very beginning of opening your credit history. Because credit history is important. And I say, we've been closing these cards off and on, but we've always had one card that we've kept open since the beginning.
Remained open since...
Right, since you were 18. Since I was 18.
My first credit card, I think it was.
Right. And it's important to make that a no-fee card because you want to keep this open for the rest of your life. It's the origin of your credit history.
Yeah.
And the longer your credit history is available, you know, you don't want to close this card. So I always suggest, you know, usually when you're 18, you almost only qualify for like a bank credit card. I happened to get mine from Bank of America, and I made sure it was a no-fee card because I knew I wanted to keep it open forever. My current favorite no-fee card, if you can qualify for it, is Wells Fargo's American Express Propel card. And the reason I like it is it has great rewards, and it's a no-fee card. You get 30,000 points upon sign-up. After spending $3,000 in 3 months. There's no annual fee forever. And the great thing about it is the rewards. It gives you 3 times points on food, gas, travel, flights, hotels, car rentals, streaming, and 1 times on everything else. And another great perk of it is it gives you cell phone protection. So if you lose your cell phone or someone steals it or it gets damaged, and you're paying your cell phone bill using this credit card, it's completely covered.
Really?
Yeah. And
they'll replace your phone?
They'll replace your phone if it gets stolen or damaged.
Wow.
As long as you're paying the monthly cell phone bill with the credit card.
Oh.
So I think it's an awesome card, Wells Fargo Propel. Another great card is the Uber card, which gives you 4% back on some of these items. So that's another one to look into if you're looking for a no-fee card that you want to keep for a long time. And
good point.
Right. And with that, I think I just want to end with, so this is the last thing, is that deadly warning. Do not sign up for a credit card if you do not have the financial IQ to pay and the financial discipline to pay in full at the end of each month. It is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. There's a reason these credit cards promote and entice you to sign up, entice you to spend thousands of dollars upon sign up, you know. Because they're
not good willingly just handing you free flights and free goodies.
Right. They want you to slip up, make late payments, and pay them 20-30% of your hard-earned wages so that you are a slave to that company, you know, a tax essentially on your income going straight to them, 20%, 30%, 35% in late fees. And there's no reason to risk that for that 2% reward, you know. Only do it if you've always been 100% consistent with your payments.
Right. It doesn't benefit you to carry a balance on your card.
Right. So only do this if you're 100% disciplined. But I hope you enjoyed this video on travel hacking, and I hope it was enlightening and illuminating.
Right. If you have any travel hacks that you've discovered that we haven't mentioned, please share below. We would love to hear about the exciting things that you found that help you get around the world without paying a ton of money for it, you know, and share that with us. We'd love to hear. Right.
And definitely like and subscribe. If you can leave us a review on any of the platforms you're listening to, that would be a huge help. Just getting started with this podcast. Hopefully we're giving you great content, and there'll be great content to come. And it'll really help to get the word out and get other people listening. So share it with your friends as well.
Just want to help you live the best possible version of your life.
Right.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. So with that, good luck. Godspeed. Sayonara. Next time on the FamVestor podcast, we are talking weddings, our wedding day in particular. Did you know the average American wedding is $33,000? In our local New York City area, it's $62,000. How much do we pay for our dream wedding with 100 people at a premier wedding venue? Only $2,600. How do we do that? How do we spend less than 10% of the average? And, you know, we had a spectacular wedding. It was beautiful. We have pictures on our website that you can follow along on the next podcast. And we'd share with you the top 10 tips we use to do that. So there's a little bit of something for everyone on this podcast, so make sure you tune in. And definitely subscribe to the show to get the notifications of all the new episodes we have planned. And definitely, if you can have 45 seconds to spare, please head over to iTunes, leave us a rating and review. It really helps us to promote the show and get us in more ears and changing more lives. So if you really like the show, hop over to iTunes, leave us that rating and review. Anyway, catch you guys on the next one. Thanks all. See ya.